you're going to do better the next 3. It's just going to kind of carry you through that. And then the last goal, probably our most ambitious, to outperform the state average on statewide tests for the appropriate grade level within the next 2 years. We originally said that it was 3 years, so now it's 2. We are going along there. We'll talk about that, but we have not surpassed the state average yet with our total student population. Here's the trends over the last 3 years against the SAT. You can see the years there and how we've done compared to, I'm not going to read the whole graph to you, but you can see we're right at those state levels, just below it in a lot of cases. And what we found by setting that goal, here's the actual breakdown of what those bar graphs, what those are coming from right here, in case you're more of a numbers thing. You can see, like right here, our average language score was 469. The state average this last year was 487. The thing we've noticed as we've been working with that over the last 4 years, here you can see math too, is that moving target of the state score is probably not a great thing to be measuring ourselves against, because it doesn't always reflect the work we have done or haven't done. So what we found is it's much better to go over a growth model, like looking at this class when they were on the PSAT versus the SAT, what they get better at, what do they not get better at. Here's just another breakdown look of that, of where we're at in this last year. Of those that met both of the ELA and math goal, we actually did move in the right direction by 1%. And we are, when it says down by 2%, that's actually a good thing. You want that number to be lower. That didn't meet either of the goal. That's actually moving in the right direction too. I just wish these percentage numbers were larger, but we're not there yet. I can go back to that if you have questions, but I want to talk about that growth model piece of it. These are just notes from our math department. I had the English department in there also, but I didn't want to be here all night. If you do want to talk English, we can talk afterwards too. That works for me. So what we found was students that are actually in our building, in the brick and mortar building, the average was a 460. On the state average was 456. So you found that the things we're doing in person are really working well for our kids as far as getting us over that state average. That was encouraging to see that kind of growth for the work we were putting in person. We saw an increase of students who were proficient in all 4 of the subtopics that SAT is broken down into. The biggest growth being, like I said there, advanced math. And again, that's comparing what they did as sophomores in the PSAT to what they did as juniors in the SAT. Not necessarily the class of 2024 versus or 25 versus 26, but actually what they did on similar tests over the course of their time. We did ask the staff school-wide to focus on problem solving and data analysis as one of the subtopics, and our brick and mortar students again went from having 43% to 50 this year, so that did show some good growth in what they did as sophomores versus what they did as juniors. And then back there, we did, with our PLCs this year, we targeted some mobile students and incorporated weekly SAT prep questions into the classes. What we found was we were telling kids, hey, this will be like the SAT, this will be what you'll see, but we weren't actually giving them the real questions. So familiarity with how they ask the question and how to break that down was a big factor for us this year, and that helped. If you see that right there with those bubble kids, we saw a 46% pass on that. The growth of an average of 59 points on that test, which is great. Before I go to iLearn, any questions about SAT stuff? Cool. iLearn, this was some really cool data that we saw out of our 7th grade. This is Ms. Bauer's class specifically. When they finished 6th grade, here's how they were on their state, compared to the state. And then we saw that jump into where they were when they took iLearn here just a couple of weeks ago. So we did move a lot closer to the state. The state moved back toward us a little bit. But that was a great 1-year growth. And that's part of the discouraging factor when you're talking about tests you're taking as a junior, tests you're taking as an 8th grader, is there's a lot of foundational work that happens at all the other levels. that those gaps are hard to close sometimes, but we're doing some great work with how they focused that this year, and you can see that right here. These numbers all going in the right direction, because this approaching number is even larger than the 20. We didn't have any backing up out of the green and the yellow. We were pulling people out of this well below grade up into approaching. So very happy with how our 7th grade data is trending. A couple academic celebrations. Before we turn it over for CTA, you guys might have seen up here, we do have another state champion team. I told them to enjoy their Wednesday night and not come. They said they can't hold up their banner. Just I got myself out. Okay, so we do have another banner. You guys probably saw the 3 we already have hanging in the front. So now we have to redesign our front. We have the interdisciplinary, if you haven't heard, team that won state convincingly. That was made up. We had a lot of quality teams this year. We were actually able to take an interdisciplinary here, so straight state trophy. And also we had an English team runner-up. Unfortunately, they were leading through the first 24 questions. They were in first place, 24 out of 25 questions. They missed the 25th question, and that put them into a tiebreaker scenario where they ended up in 5th place. But a very, very strong showing from our English department team as well. So those are some great celebrations we had there. And wanted to just update you on that graduation piece. Last year, we approved starting the Latin honors system for honoring our students graduating with high GPAs. That's starting with this graduating class, and we're going to be able to honor 47 students from the class of 2025 with those Latin honors. The highest being summa cum laude, which is a 4.0 or above. We actually have 21 students in the graduating class that are earning a 4.0 or above in their GPA, which I think is phenomenal. Magna cum laude at 2nd level, 375 and 399. We have 12 kids getting that honor, and then we have 14 kids getting that cum laude honor, which is a 3.5 or 3.5 and 3.74. And those will be signified with some pins that they'll be able to wear on their sash. Stole is the word, stole at graduation. So we're very excited about that. And I think it speaks to the testament of the academic competitiveness that they have in this class, which is why we ended up with 7 Valley twins as well. But you can tell that the rest of these were not, the rest of the 40 were not far behind them with that. So with all that, I'm going to give this in and out mic to Carrie Young, our lead CTE teacher, and she's going to do a CTE update that you guys had asked for. Good question, Bobby.
All right, Amy.
On the phone. Sorry, Bob.
Does that work? Okay. Can I get the next slide, please? And
One
also
sec.
saying on this.
Oh, I need to jump to the other one. I apologize.
Oh,
We're jumping around a little bit.
No, that was me.
That was all that I had. That was the last of that slide deck.
I'll go show you.
Can you go to the top of the presentation? Nope, that's not me.
No, that's all.
I guess while we're waiting, I would like to say I have been so excited to take this role on this year. I feel like the CTE department has had some big growth, and I'm really excited to see the steps that we're going to take next year and in the future. I will say that coming from an English background and going into the CTE world, it has been a completely different ballgame. I have so much appreciation for our guidance counselors and our administration because, oh my, there is a lot of rules and legislation that goes into CTE that I was not aware of and did not have a complete grasp of, so kudos to all those people for making these programs happen.
It'd be easier to plug me in or share it with you.
Yeah, if you got that, give me 1 second. 1 second, Kara.
Well, have a minute. Tomorrow, no, Friday, 7 o'clock, we have a performance, right here at the next stage of the theater class that Chance and I taught, Barner and I taught, 7 o'clock right here. The NSA's guide to winning friends and influencing people. About 30 minutes. It's fun. So,
Try it now, Kara.
9 theater kids, put this up.
Okay, so to start us off, I wanted to review all of our pathway programs that we offer here at Lakeland. So I will piggyback off of what Jason said. We have a great deal more pathway options than our local schools. And we have a wide variety, agriculture, biomedical science. We are the only school in the area that offers that, and it's one of our largest programs. It does an amazing job of preparing students to go into that medical field. We offer 3 different pathways in business. Civic arts, we have 4 different options. Our construction trades program, we are also one of the only ones in the area that still remains. The other largest one is Impact in Kendallville, and so I think it's a nice talking point that we can, as our own school, support our own construction trades program when at Impact it's 12 schools supporting that program. Our newer additions would be our dental careers and our vet career programs. We also have education professions and engineering. Upcoming, we have a returning pathway of entrepreneurship. We have a lot of excited students who will be joining that class next year. And then upcoming, we are looking at reintroducing early childhood education and then an advanced manufacturing pathway as well. So here's a breakdown of our program numbers, and it is a 3-year comparison so you can kind of see the ebbs and flows of the programs from the 23-24 fiscal year and next school year. To note, big ones, again, as I mentioned before, biomedical science is a huge program for us. We have a lot of students enrolled in that. Also, these are enrollment numbers, and with that, our guidance department tracks then how the pathway numbers actually come out. So for each of these pathways, the numbers do look lower, but this is an accurate representation of how many students we have in each of those classes. For our dental careers and our vet careers, it's exciting to see that those are staying steady. We're holding our own in those programs as they're in their infancy. You can see off to the right the breakdown of our civic arts and how those individual numbers look. And then also in here is our work-based learning. So as diploma requirements change and we have our new diploma coming out with our incoming freshmen, it will be more and more important for us to have really strong industry partnerships and have strong work-based learning. And over the last 2 school years, or this year and for next year, we have really good numbers. So that's really exciting to see that we're trending in the right way and being able to be prepared for those changes in the future. Does anybody have any questions about these numbers?
Projected numbers for dental and vet, I know that we've had some inquiries from other schools.
Yeah, that's on the next slide. Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I just want to make that.
Okay, so here's just kind of how things have gone this year for us. Our construction trades program, it was a bit of a year for them. At the beginning of the year, we found out that the house that we had secured at the end of last year did not pass a soil test, so we couldn't build there. So Mr. Troyer had to find a new alternative, and luckily our athletic department said, hey, we've got some work that needs done. So the class started by constructing 2 sheds. They made those for the baseball and softball fields, and then they made 2 mobile ticket booths. And then, so those took care of the program during the fall. And then we also decided to partner up with Habitat for Humanity here in LaGrange. And when they were looking for a partner, we knew it was going to be a little bit later of a start. We were hoping to have the project started in like the November timeframe. Unfortunately, we had some delays with securing contractors and permits. And then when we finally had all of those things happen, cold weather hit, and then it got too cold for them to be able to break ground or pour concrete. So they actually weren't able to start building the house until mid-March, essentially. And now our students, we have 19 students in the program, and they have gotten it from concrete to walls, and they've installed windows, roofing, and siding as of this week. So in a 2-month time period, 19 students have made so much progress, and we're super proud of how they've been patient and understanding that this isn't a normal year for us. We do have the house secured for next year, which is really exciting. They've already signed their MOU, we have their deposit, and they're hoping to break ground in June. So they should be able to hit the ground running next year as soon as school starts. For this year's Habitat House, we do have an open house from noon to 2 p.m. on the 17th. So if you would like to see that, you can go check it out. It's on, it just slipped my mind, I think Spring Street, maybe.
Walden, Steuben.
Thank you. For our dental program, we're really excited to see that those numbers are staying consistent. Here's our really exciting piece. We actually, the LaGrange Family Dentistry had our students attend the Field of Dreams Career Expo. And while we were there, all 3 schools from the county also attended, and students from Westview and Prairie Heights were like, whoa, this is a super cool program. I want to be a part of this. And we actually had a student from Westview come do a shadow day, check out the program, and he said, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. And so we made arrangements so he can be part of the program next year. So we're super excited to have a Westview student enrolled in that for next year. From the vet program, again, it's only year 2, and we are staying strong with those numbers. And LaGrange Vet Clinic has been an amazing industry partner for us. Dr. Hillary and her crew have been amazing to work with, so kudos to them for making it a really easy process for us. We have also received contact from a Westview parent. Their student is not old enough, they're only an incoming freshman, so we can't enroll them yet in the program. But they wanted details, wanted information, because they're like, this is such a cool program, I want my child to have the opportunity to be a part of it. Work-based learning, as I mentioned earlier, we're excited to see growth in that form. We've really focused on building partnerships this year, because we know as the new diploma comes out, in those seals, it requires, in some of them, at least 150 hours of work-based learning. So we will be competing with those industry partners in the county. So we have to make sure we have those really strong partnerships so that our students get those opportunities. We've made really cool updates to the process for students this year. We implemented Homebase app, which is they utilize this app on their phone, and other companies actually use it as an HR tool. And it's really nice. Students are able to check in and out of their internships. And so it acts as a time clock for them. So we have the documentation, and it gives us GPS location. So it helps with accountability for students and safety issues. So if something would ever happen to a student, we would know where their last location was. Our work-based learning coordinator came up with a disciplinary form that it would be very similar to like a strike form that you would see from an employer. So if there's ever an infraction in the classroom or with their internship site, they go through a strike policy form just like they would and have a review. And it's been a really nice way for students to self-reflect. On Wednesdays, when we have those 2-hour delay days, they have workshop Wednesdays, they learn how to write resumes, do mock interviews, all of those kind of things. And then we've switched up our reflection and evaluation process, so it's more inclusive for both employers and students, so that we can get really good feedback on what their ideas and the quality of those internships. Our big exciting piece for work-based learning is the student chamber launched this year. Dr. Blaze is on that board and has been instrumental in helping us get to this point. These internships are with chamber members. It is run by the LaGrange County Chamber of Commerce, and up to 10 students from each school corporation throughout the county are able to apply each year. And to start off, we had 4 students who went through the entire application process and were accepted for next school year. We've taken a little bit different approach to promoting CTE. We've made some hallway graphics to kind of explain what pathways are and keep career clusters and some of that information in front of our students so that they're thinking about it more frequently. Our guidance department at the 8th grade freshman level has started implementing 4-year plans so our students really know and understand what their options are. We had a really strong freshman orientation this year. I think we had only about maybe 10 people show up at those events, and we made sure there was a high CTE focus and pathway focus because we know with those seals and the changes in the diploma that CTE is going to play a larger role for them. When it came to scheduling, we went into the classrooms and did presentations so that students again knew what their options were and felt comfortable in making those choices. And we did that for all grade levels, and then actually helped them through the scheduling process. And then with those events, we made those program info sheets, which is what I passed out to you guys at the beginning, so that each program has its own one-page little flyer that students, families, anybody who would want to see more about our programs can get like a quick little overview. Next year, we are planning on doing a CTE program of the month, so highlighting each one of our pathway programs throughout the school year, giving it a shout out and having associated activities. In February, it is National CTE Month, so we would like to recognize that with a CTE week, and then we are going to do a little crossover curricular collaboration with our math and science departments, where we show kids how, because we all hear, when am I ever going to use this? And we know as adults we actually use those skills, but kids don't always see that. So we are going to have days where maybe Mr. Troyer goes into a math class, maybe geometry, and talks about angles and measurements and those type of things and shows, hey, I literally use these skills every day in my career. Another exciting part for us from the CTE perspective has been the career coaching grant through ICHE. Big takeaways for this have been the agilities, which agilities are essentially a career inventory, career interest inventory. But one nice thing about this is it shows students their strengths and interests, but it doesn't say this is who you are. It shows you what you're good at and says these are ways you can grow or develop those strengths to be what you want to be. So it has this really nice SEL and growth mindset component to it. One nice thing about this is all their curriculum and the resources are completely free. And they're created by teachers, so they're very easy to use resources. And it gives our students the opportunity to use these Career Explorer tools to find out, hey, this is how I can apply my likes and interests and my strengths into a future career. It helps them explore post-secondary education options, and it gives us a K-12 curriculum, so we can talk to our students and use the same language all the way through. So if I say, hey, you activated your serving and carrying agility, all your students all the way through can know and understand that, which is huge. To grow on the things that we have gained from this grant, next year we are going to have an agilities or a Laker launch week where we have a whole week at the end of semester 1 where we focus on career and college and career exploration activities, having career fairs and those opportunities for our students. And then we would like to increase our experiential activities, so getting our students to some of those colleges, trade schools, 2-year associate programs, and some of our local employers, so maybe to the Blue Gate or some of our industry partners like Exos or NISCO, so that they can see what opportunities are here for them in LaGrange County and surrounding. Another exciting thing that's hopefully going to happen for us for the 26-27 school year is for our 7th and 8th graders. This would be a Paxton Patterson College and Career Ready Lab. So this curriculum offers students hands-on learning experience with all 16 career clusters. So they get to try out different activities in all different fields The pictures from below are ones that I found online from students in other from other schools. So they have a vet program, they have electrical, construction, there is criminology, all kinds, anything that you could think of, barbering, culinary school. So our students, before they enter high school, can know what their interests are and what they really want to pursue when they get to high school. Right now, as you can see the rendering, that is the design that we have for this space. Alexis and I are both working on securing grant funding to make this happen and industry sponsorship. And our final slide is about the Learn to Work program. So we have been working very closely with Westview and Prairie Heights to launch a advanced manufacturing pathway. We know that in our county, manufacturing is our largest employer, and we don't have a pathway that provides career readiness for those students. So it's really important that we secure something like that. Our plan is to locate this new advanced manufacturing classroom at LIS in what was the former shop rooms. The pathway would be advanced manufacturing, industrial maintenance technician, electrical. Big fancy term, but students would be getting industrial maintenance, that really electrical heavy focus in that area that they could take to any type of manufacturing setting. We have industry partnerships with NISCO and Exos, and we are very actively working to get our grant submitted for this by tomorrow. That's all I have. So if anybody has any questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
So we have a lot of good things happening. So obviously we have education kids, we have different things in our community that these kids can come back to. I know we are in K through 12 education, but what is our plan to engage the kids when they leave for college to realize the amount of money they save either from the classes or even from a teaching perspective where to get them back in our building?
So one thing that Jason and I recently talked about is working on collecting alumni information so that we can go back to students and have that, and then being able to use those resources to bring them back as guest speakers, as visitors, and be in that constant contact so that we can have them be part of our CTE day in these curriculum classes and have them be a Laker for life.
All right, I'm up with Lakeland by the Loopers here. There is the slide. You will see we had a change of, I believe it's only 3 students this time around. I can't see my numbers because they're too small on my phone. We landed at 1436 for this past month. So you can see the changes and where they occurred in our numbers. That puts us down 67 students from the 23-24 school year. Next month for the end of year report, I will be telling you our estimates for next year. And that brings us to treasurer's report, I believe.
I know, there's a lot of red. We'll correct that here in about a month and a half. All right, so we are at 33% of the year at the end of April. We have collected for our ed fund, $4,492,000, or 33.97% of our revenue budget for the year. The operations fund, we have collected only $421,500, which is 5.8%. Just a reminder, property taxes make up the huge portion of our operations fund, and those are only given to us in June and December. So collection ended Monday, I believe, for property taxes. So we should see a check hopefully in mid-June is when they should see that. The numbers should be a lot better in July for us. Okay, and then expenditure-wise, year to date we've spent $4,545,000 in the ed fund, or 29.65% of the expenditure budget, or 34.4% of the revenue fund, so just a little over that 33% kind of target. And then in the operations fund, we've spent 30.4% of the expenditure budget, or 34.6%. So we're just a little over there. So we're at there. And then I continued with the graphs where you can kind of see the breakdown of where we're at. So our ed fund, but don't really see a lot of movement within the ed fund from month to month. You know, it's mostly salaries and benefits, supplies in there too. And then on your sheet, you will see last year's year-to-date numbers, so you can kind of see, since you guys requested that through that it, so you can kind of see where we're at.
I think important on this is just pointing out the percentage for salaries.
Yeah.
We have a mandate by
That is,
law.
you're right. So yeah, our mandate currently is 62% of salary and benefits must be spent from the education fund. That is going up to 65 for the next budget year. So we are at 64% and 25%. So with the salary and benefits there, so we're hitting those numbers well. And then our operations fund, this one, you know, mostly heavy again on salary and benefits. People are expensive. And then supplies and equipment, utilities, things like that are, you know, also up there. So you can see where those numbers are too. Yeah. So, if you have any questions, I think I did make a note that last year we were kind of high on repairs at this point in time, and that was because we started the gym project. We had payments coming out for that at this point, so that's another job. All right, any questions for me? Okay.
So I will get on your promise. Okay.
All right, so next item, school board president's report. I just have a couple things. First, going along with the academic team, it was awesome to see a pretty good community turnout on Saturday night as I came back into town with the fire truck. So something cool, something different to be a part of as we celebrated their success. And then the other thing is we are winding down the year, so we know everyone's a little tired, but just finished strong. So we appreciate everything you guys have done this year. All right, so new business. We have first reading of the elementary handbook.
Talk about changes to the handbook. Okay, well, all the changes to the handbook were in your board packets, so
You did have those changes available. I do not have those here, so. I believe-
Changes were, some board policy clarifications, Monday, Friday, schedule, board names, board member names. Try to reduce some verbiage or just link the board, make sure the names are accurate. All the different departments do their sections, make sure so that the needs of that department and food service, but it's different than previously, so with moving their own is that they're in different sections.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
So moved. No, we're not.
we have second reading.
We're gonna waive the second, approve, or. Yeah, I can't talk. Okay. I'll make a motion to waive the second reading.
I'll second.
Sue seconds. All in favor? Motion carries. The mic is throwing everybody off. All right, so now we have the junior senior high handbook.
All the changes are highlighted in that. There are two inaccuracies that need to fix after approval, though. One of them is the page numbers, make sure they match in case we move anything around. And two is a letter we send out from Alexis every year that just we need an updated date on it. Get that PDF put back in there, it's the same letter, but just need to get the 2025 version of it. Back to the other things that changed people's names, well, you're in it this year, congratulations. We also changed the academic honors shirt policy that's in it. It was kind of confusing. You were earning it over the course of a calendar year. Like you had to get your spring semester, freshman year, and your fall of your sophomore year, which is made it a lot simpler. You get, if you're on a high honor roll one semester, you get a shirt in 2 semesters in a row. You get your academic letter for production. Much simpler. Kids who earn the high honor roll this semester will get it at the start of the year. In the fall, we'll kick off the school year, show people what you can earn by hitting your academics. We changed that in there. We also changed the half-day attendance policy to match the athletic handbook from half-day to specifically say 4 periods of the day. It was getting confusing on the here by 11:35, is that a half day, or is it here at 11:40? So 4 full periods, much easier on the attendance secretary. Everybody would say yes, no. And the attendance, we took out all the words and we just put it in the table and explained to our attendance. Much simpler, less pages, more like the day will be. Those are the only changes.
All right. You guys want to move forward, or do we want to look at waiving the second reading?
I make a motion to waive the second reading.
All right, so we got Shelley with the second, Sue with the first motion. All in favor? Motion carries. Athletic handbook with Ryan Yoder.
We just have 2 changes in the athletic handbook. The first one, we had a section on ticket prices that said students that are not participating in an athletic event are expected to pay to go to that event. That changed this year when we got a sponsor to cover student admission to the games. So we're just changing that section to reflect that. So it says they will be permitted to attend athletic events free of charge, courtesy of athletic department sponsors. This is currently sponsored by 50-Pack Travel, and they are renewing again for next year. We just found out this week, so that's great. We do have to get all sports passes for them still, and they're supposed to present that when they get there, so we can tell they're actually a Lakeland student. That comes up sometimes. You can always tell the students that are trying to get in just looking down, like walking fast, might not be a Lakeland kid. So that's one change. The other one, Jason already mentioned, we tried to get a little bit more aggressive in supporting the attendance goals that the school has. It's been a focus for the corporation and for the high school as a whole. And we already had a rule that said you're supposed to be at school for half the day in order to compete in practices or games that night. We were able to come up with a report with the help of Kay Davis at Tech. So we run that report every afternoon. We can check if our students are actually, all of our athletes are actually meeting that half-day requirement. And then we share that with the coaches so that the coaches know who's allowed to participate that night and who's not. And it's actually worked pretty good. We've got pretty good, it got the attention of the kids the first few weeks we started checking that. And we did have several kids coming down saying, well, I got here at 11:50, or, you know, I came in right at the end of the 4th hour. So we just want to clean that up. Instead of saying a half day, we want to make it 4 periods, so it's very easy to tell if they make the requirement or not. So those are the only 2 changes for that.
4 full periods, right?
Yeah, 4 full periods. So they have to be there for that full 4th hour for it to count.
I would like to make a motion to waive the second reading.
We have Kara with the second. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, now we have the administrative.
I'm loud, I can talk loud. I'm not gonna ask you to waive the first reading, I just wanted you guys to review this. This is a first for Lakeland, we haven't had an administrative handbook. So I think we would like some of the administrative team to review it and see what their thoughts, any questions they may have. And then we'll bring that in front of the board next month, along with any salary changes for the admin. Those will coincide.
Okay, thank you. Athletic fund transfer, item 5.
I think you have this document, hopefully printed out, but we have a couple of positions that weren't filled this year, coaching stipends that were already on the books and in the budget, but we didn't fill them for one reason or another. Most of them were actually filled in some capacity. It was just maybe we had a volunteer, but that volunteer wasn't able to commit to the whole season, so they weren't in the paid position. In one case, we had a board member in one of those roles, so they can't be paid. So we had about I think the number is $6,953 that was budgeted and not used. In past years, we've transferred some of that money over to help pay the salary of our strength coach, for the agreement we have with PSM. We pay for about half of that contract, half that salary. The nice thing about it is we haven't ever had to ask for more money to do that. We've been able to do it with existing funds, and this is one of the ways that I helped cover that in the last 2 years. So a breakdown of what I wanted to do. I had a couple people I wanted to pay out of that because they gave us some special help this year as volunteers, really stepped in and helped us out. I wanted to pay them first and then move the remaining amount over to the athletic fund. So the people that I wanted to ask for a special stipend for were Rebecca Hofer. She gave us some pretty big help during the fall. We were having some transition in our cheerleading coaching. And then in the winter, we had Linda and Cheryl Whetstone, just couldn't give it up. With gymnastics, they assisted a lot. They weren't able to be at everything, but they helped run all our events, our invitational, sectional, and I wanted to thank them for that. I felt it'd be appropriate they did more than enough work to get some of that stipend. So I wanted to split the assistant gymnastics stipend for them. That'd be $853 apiece, and then that left $4,747 remaining that would be transferred from that corporation fund of where the stipends come from over to the athletic department, and that will be used to help pay for the strength coach.
I'll make a motion to approve the funds for Brian.
Kara with the second, Rob with the motion. All in favor? Motion carries. Yep. You do. All right, the next item on the agenda is Chromebooks for all the schools.
So we have applied and received the Common School Loan, and we would like to use that to purchase Chromebooks. We are speeding up our timetable in order to get all of our grade levels, with the exception of kindergarten, on the same platform. So everyone would be using the Chromebooks other than our kindergarten. We were hoping to pilot something different for kindergarten this year, but we haven't been able to get that to the teachers, so we're gonna put that off until next year so that they have an opportunity to try some devices before we make a choice on that.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. All right, Alexis, you're up next with textbooks fees.
Okay, so I actually sent all of you, I think Melanie sent it along, is a giant textbook fee document that kind of outlines all of the textbook fees for every single grade, every single class, and even their consumables money. I did try to put it on one sheet for you so you can kind of see some highlights from our textbook fees this year. I had one parent who saw it on the board agenda who called me and said, wait, I thought we didn't have textbook fees. And that is still true. Parents do not have to pay any textbook fees. Some classes do require a fee for different things, but our state does send us an amount of money to cover these fees. So some of the highlights that I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes anyway are our LEGO curriculum for STEM for grades K through 6. Our K2 teacher students will be having MC curricular materials. We're adding a US history book and a new German curriculum. For consumables, we approximately added about $5 per grade and course due to rising costs of items. We just want to make sure our teachers feel prepared and they have all the supplies they need to teach the classes that they teach. Scholastic News went up again this year. It is $6.88 per student. Teachers do still feel like it is beneficial for our K through 6 students, so we will still be purchasing that for them. After tonight, I will have 2 more curriculums still to come. We are still on the hunt for a health curriculum. We have had a couple options. The first one, our teachers didn't feel like it went deep enough. The second one was too graphic. So we're gonna go back to the drawing table and try to find another one. So also a computer science curriculum. The state of Indiana is requiring us to teach computer science. So we are adding that course next year. So the teacher and I, Mr. Carell and myself, are still on the hunt to make sure we choose the correct platform for that course. Looking ahead for textbook fees, you'll see that in the math for K through 6, you'll see kind of higher numbers in there. It's just because I've been trying to make sure we have enough money in there to adopt our new math curriculum next year. So next year will be a big year for us in adopting a new K6 math curriculum. I will say when I said this to the intermediate building, they all go, oh, I like what we have. And I was like, well, that's good. So if we want to go with that again, we can. If not, we're going to evaluate and see what our options are. Last year, the state textbook fees that we did receive did cover all of our fees that we need. So that was super beneficial. We are keeping our costs low, so that way that money is being used appropriately. Do they need to approve that before I go on to my curriculums? Dr. Blaze? All is one? Perfect. Okay. So starting off tonight, I do have a copy, if you do not have it in your book right now, is the LEGO curriculum we're going to be using for STEM. These are some outcomes that the LEGO says these are proposed that will happen. Talking about the integrating the fun, engaging hands-on learning with LEGO education. The students will be able to be creative, they'll be able to use robotics, design engineering, all towards that STEAM learning. All students will have exposure into career pathways with opportunities to increase their skills, confidence, and possible interests into various industries, which kind of leads us into that same CTE platform that we're working towards at our high school level, junior, senior high school level. The program is super hands-on. We have a new teacher who, after board approval tonight, who will be teaching this curriculum in our K through 6 classes. Can you click it, please? Thank you. So kind of it broken down, each school will have a class set of materials. So our kindergartners will use STEAM Park, our 1st through 5th will use Spike Essentials, and then our 6th grade will be using Spike Prime. Every grade has their own curriculum that they follow. They have lessons online. The training is provided by LEGO. It is Chromebook compatible, so it is super easy. It is all web-based. We are working with fitting it in with our new knowledge units at the primary building. We're also adding in some college and career kits for 6th grade to kind of beef up getting ready to head into the junior, senior high. And then the employability skills that Kara has discussed will also fit in nicely with the new computer science course at junior, senior. So the LEGO curriculum is just kind of a way for us to kind of build those students up heading into that junior, senior high building. The next one is an MC curriculum. Why are we getting a new phonics curriculum? So when ESSER funding came out, and when Lakeland Primary decided to choose a new reading curriculum, we were asked to choose a phonics and a knowledge curriculum. So at that time, we chose Amplify Skills and Amplify Knowledge. CKLA is kind of what it's known for. So with that, we have found, as teachers and the committee that came together, we did not feel like skills was meeting our needs like OG did in the past. We were kind of pulling in our OG skills again, trying to rebuild those skills. So with that, the committee decided, we met and went over 3 different curriculums for phonics. Our Amplify contract ended with ESSER money, so we are not tied to Amplify currently. So the committee decided to go with IMSI. I will have copies of the new books. We're getting new ones for our training, so I'll have those for you to look at next month too. The committee, we met, we had some teachers trying out the lessons, and we really felt like this was the way to go. So additionally tonight, you'll see that I'm asking for the IMSI training to be approved for our K through 3 teachers. I did ask our 3rd grade teachers if they wanted to join in on our fun week of training the first week that school is out, and they said absolutely, so they will be joining us. So that way they can have that continuum of that curriculum heading into 3rd grade. So plans for the use, that it's gonna be a roughly 75-minute block that we will use this curriculum at primary. Then it will be used in intervention as needed when students just need a little bit more. With this, we also are gonna keep the CKLA knowledge for our content time. So we're gonna use some of the knowledge units, which is from Amplify. However, the CKLA is the free version, so there will be no cost to us to use that curriculum. And that'll be a separate time from the skills time to make sure that our students have access to different things throughout the day, and they can kind of get a break too from their little brains reading all for 3 hours at a time. Sustainability, this curriculum will be very helpful for us because we only will have to replace a few things each year. The large cost is up front right now, training the teachers, getting all the materials, and then it'll just be like buying small things every year, replacing workbooks, things like that. Not the giant cost that we've had with Amplify currently. So it'll be a good curriculum for us to be able to sustain. Summer school curriculum, just a reminder, I read next test date is next week. 3rd graders are testing on Wednesday, the ones that did not pass in March, and our 2nd graders are testing on Thursday and Friday. So please send good vibes only towards those students next week. Following that, our summer school parents will be notified. So with that, we do have to have a state approved curriculum. So we went with the 95% group has a phonics booster summer for rising 3rd graders. I do have that up here if you want to see it too. But it comes with a workbook and a teacher book to help them make sure they're teaching phonics correctly during that time. We're gonna have 3 different rotations during summer school. They're gonna have a phonics session, a fiction section, and a nonfiction. And then on June 26th, the 3rd graders only, because the 2nd graders only get 2 chances, only our 3rd graders that are in summer school take the test for the final time. Again, only good vibes only sent to them on that date. I've also asked everyone to avoid that building at all costs on that date, so we have no loud noises anywhere near there. Next, we are adding U.S. history back into our curriculum here at the junior senior high. I met with a very small committee, and with that, we chose America Through the Lens. It is this textbook up here. So our students will have access to this textbook in their classroom, and then they will also have online access if they need to do work at home. Mr. Thompson did not feel like it would be fair to have the students carry this book back and forth all the time, so he will keep a class set in his classroom and then be able to use it when needed. With this same company, we are using National Geographic, and one really nice thing with them is they do have a possibility of an AP course that goes along with that called the American Pageant. With that committee, we kind of decided, okay, this one has one that follows it, so this will be great.
We've always had U.S. history.
Yes.
We're not adding it back, we're adding it as a solo class, not connected to government.
Sorry, thank you.
Split those 2 classes.
Yes, they are split. Yeah, we've always had U.S. history. Always, it has always been there. I just know we were splitting it, so we need a separate curriculum. So, thank you, Mr. Shacko. German curriculum. I just want to do a quick shout out. If you've never met Karen Yoder, our world language teacher, she is phenomenal, and she is taking on teaching German next year as well. So when it was time to choose a German curriculum, I said, Karen, I need your thoughts. What do you think? And so she reached out to all of her little German friends, and they said this is the best option. So we are going to be choosing German teacher friends, I should say. Let me be clear, German teacher friends. And she said that this was the best option for curriculum. So I kind of took her word for it. I thought that she was going to hug me when the books got delivered. She was so excited. So if you want to see the German curriculum that she's going to be using, it is right here. Our state has also now required us to have board-approved curriculum for human sexuality. So at the primary and intermediate buildings, they are currently using Barbara Sinatra's curriculum, which is fightchildabuse.org. If you go to that website, you can kind of see all the curriculum that's available for them. But the objective of the programs is to educate all ages of children about what to do when confronted with abusive behavior, whether it be body safety, abuse, cyberbullying. They use multiple of those lessons on that site. So if you want to visit that site, you can check out kind of what it is. But it's well known, well used, well recognized. And then they also are going to try to bring back SCAN this year with Monique Burr Foundation. And then junior senior high has had Elijah Haven coming in to do some different presentations about human sexuality. Oh, that was it.
Is it for you?
Yay.
All right, so we're ready for vote. Is there any questions for Alexis? She can work quite a bit. Right, do we have a motion?
Second.
Karen and Sue, all in favor? Motion carries. All right, we're moving on to item 8 on the agenda, employment.
I gotta look at my screen and remember who I'm highlighting. So Kathleen Avery, we wanted to highlight her. Let me find her on my list here. She's a Lakeland grad, daughter of Nurse Holly and daughter-in-law of Brenda Avery. So on top of that, being a Laker grad and coming from those great lineages, she was in the top 10 for the Indiana Teacher of the Year not long ago. So we are very, very excited to welcome that Laker home. And we are also welcoming our new varsity football coach, Tom Wogelman. And Ryan can give you a little bit of his background, and he's also here if he would like to speak. So.
Sure. Yeah, I'm excited to welcome Tom and thank Tom and his wife Maria for attending tonight. It's a little bit of a long meeting, but thank you for being here. I'll just talk a little bit about Tom's background. I spent a lot of time talking about it. I'll try to just keep it brief. But Tom's been a football coach for over 30 years. Started out as a coordinator at East Noble. Was part of a state championship and state runner-up there. Then moved on to Wawasee for his first head coaching job. Kind of took 3 or 4 years there, turning that program around, and then really built a solid program. Was NLC Coach of the Year there. And then after about 7 years, he moved on to Northridge. I think I'll probably get it wrong, but I think Northridge had something like 5 winning seasons in the previous 35 years before he started. And winning season the first year, went to semi-state the second year, had an undefeated year a couple years after that, and a few more NLC Coach of the Year titles. So, yeah, quality coaching career. When you go into a coaching hire, you're always nervous about what you're going to get. You don't know what kind of interest you're going to have. I couldn't be more pleased to be welcoming Tom. He's tried to hit the ground running, even though he's employed right now at a virtual online school teaching junior high. But he's already met our students, met our parents, met with all our coaching staff, and doing everything he can to get things lined up for the summer to get started. So, yeah, couldn't be more pleased and just happy to welcome him here. It's been a pleasure to work with him so far. In his interview process, I just thought I'd share this. He was asked principles for a successful team. He outlined 3 things. Be a person of character, hang on to your passion, to treat others how you want to be treated. And so far, that's been my experience of working with him. I can tell he's passionate about it, and it's been great to work with him. So happy to welcome you here, and welcome you to the community, and Maria as well. And if you'd like to share anything, you can. You don't have to talk.
Well, you can say it.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
I don't think it's awesome.
Well, you can say I could not be more excited to be here tonight. And although this has been a little windy, a lot of awesome things are going on here lately. So, educating about what's happening here lately. As Brad said, I'm so excited to get started. It's been a little bit, the hard part is having a job yet not being able to be here to be with the kids as much as I'd like to. But I can't tell you how impressed I've been with this whole process, getting to know the people like it's great.
Let's not forget he's a Goshen alumni. Make sure we remember that. Goshen Redskins alumni.
I should have mentioned too, he will be joining us as a teacher too. Most likely teaching some junior high PE and health. I think some of that's still being worked out, but he will be in the building next year, which should be great.
All right, so we got some exciting new hires and people joining Lakeland, and also a lot of people stepped up and taking on additional responsibility on there this summer as well. So, do we have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor? Motion carries. Number 9, transfers.
Much of what you see on the transfers, we did take the show choir off our agenda, so that was just still on my slides. A lot of the transfers you're seeing are due to our reorganization of both title and our specials classes, so that was a lot of what's on there.
All right, do we have a motion? Sue and Shelley. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, so we have item 10 is volunteer, just a track coach. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Sorry. All right. All in favor? Motion carries. Resignations.
Highlights there. So we want to highlight Paul Furness. He has been with us for about 25 years, I believe. He joined Lakeland 25 years ago. And we appreciate all that he has done for our students. Anything from teaching computer classes when he first came to us to physical education. So we wish him well in his next adventures. We also want to wish Gabrielle Larimer the best of luck as she's getting married and will be moving to Southern Indiana. So we're very sad to see that Laker grad go, but wish her the best. And did I have another one? Suzanne Wild. She is our gymnastics coach, and she coached with us this season and will be moving on. So we wish her luck.
All right, do we have a motion? Any discussion?
I do have a couple questions about gymnastics. It took us some time to find her coach. A couple years to find somebody to actually take over the girls, and then they helped out this year. Do we know? I mean, what is our next step here? I mean, we talked about in the past of we have to get to a point where we have to replace some equipment, expense. I'm guessing. What is our next step? What do we look like in junior high? Do we have a lot of kids in junior high coming up, girls?
We had 10 this year, 6th through 8th grade, which was more than we had last year. I'm not sure all 10 of those completed the whole season. They had 8 finished the season, but we had 10.
10 start.
If everybody from the high school comes back next year, we'll have 6 in the high school program next year. Have you, Dr. Blaze, that we had been discussing this, and she asked me to put together some numbers about equipment and needs and things like that. Has that been shared?
Yes.
Okay.
In the past, yeah.
Just to add on to that, we did a little bit more digging after the season ended, just to try to get a feel for where we're at in relation to other schools around the state. So this year in the state tournament for gymnastics, there were So we, myself and Melissa Pettit, sent some emails and made some phone calls to those 15 schools. So of those 15, there are only 2 that had their own program. Like the other 13 sent 1 kid or 2 or 3 kids to participate with another school. So only 2 of them had their own program. Only one of those 2 housed that program in their school. So like they didn't send them to a club outside or anything like that. So we're one of 2 schools, 1A or 2A schools in the entire state that have an in-house program for gymnastics. Just to put it in perspective.
Ryan, can you give a quick update on, equipment? I remember reading it, but those numbers didn't stick in my head.
Yeah, there's a couple of mats that need to be replaced. Those are kind of expensive, usually in the range of, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500 for some of the bigger ones. So if you need to be replaced, the big thing is our floor. We've really hung on to it as long as we can. We have to take it apart about 3 times a year and shove it back together because the floor is vibrating apart. So if we get a new floor, we should get a spring floor. That's kind of the standard now. And that's like 18, 20,000. So, within the next 2 years, I think we probably have $25,000 to $30,000.
Do you have
To
any
get that
needs on the coach and all? I know gymnastics is not something you can open a book and know about.
Yeah. I don't at this time. Susie Wild, she did say if we would like her to, she could probably stay on as a junior high coach. Because our junior high coach has also resigned. That was Michelle Alwell from the primary building. She coached us for 1 year, but she's not coming back. So Susie has said she would come back to junior high. I haven't started looking for a high school one. It was tough to find last year. We were probably looking for 4 or 5 months before Susie stepped in around September 1st, I think. Yeah.
Worst case scenario, if we have to, do away with the gymnastics, what would be the closest area for those kids to go to compete?
I think it would be Angola. Angola has had kids compete with them in the past, so I would check with them first and see if they'd be okay with us joining them. I think there is a limit on that you can only send 3 kids as a maximum. If
Is
you're,
that an IHSA rule?
yeah, I think that's the IHSA rule is 3 kids if you are competing as a school, but you're sending them somewhere else.
If that were to happen, are we responsible for transportation and all of that?
That would all be conversations, how we figure that out. We would still be responsible for treating it like it's a Lakeland program. So if they were competing with Angola, I would have to contact all the schools on the schedule, have contracts with those schools. There would probably be some kind of cost that we would have to pay Angola to, thank them, I guess, to make sure our kids are part of that program. But transportation, I really haven't even asked about that.
We have not reviewed it, but I'm pretty sure that we would be responsible for the transportation because it's still
So they would still be Lakeland.
They would be considered
Athletic.
a Lakeland gymnastics team. They would compete with Angola.
Okay.
They would work that out.
No.
Yeah.
6 coming back.
6. Yeah.
What is your target date for a recommendation? Do you have one yet or not?
July 1st or
I
August
didn't mean to
1st.
put you on the spot here.
I don't have one yet, but the sooner the better for planning purposes, especially if we're going to join another school. I think no later than July 1st, probably we should have that figured out.
How many schools in our conference and like in our area? I know we posted sectionals the last 2 years. I think now how far are the girls going to compete?
There's a lot of hour-and-a-half trips, a lot of trips to Fort Wayne. We go to Fort Wayne a couple times, Chesterton, Plymouth, it's not a very strong program. Our kids and our coaches would rather not go back there because the equipment has gotten in really bad shape.
Still have the old transportation garage.
Yeah. Yeah, they moved it to a separate building, it's not in their high school anymore.
As far as Title IX goes, if we were not to have gymnastics, are we still okay on our numbers for Title IX?
Yeah, we're actually one sport heavy on the girls' side right now because we started girls wrestling. So, that would not be an issue.
So we had a motion in a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Last item is consent agenda. Do we have any comments on this consent agenda? All right. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Sue and Tara. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, we're at the point in the agenda where we can have public comments. Persons wishing to make the board aware of suggestions, ideas, and comments may address the board at this time. Comments which involve personnel or students must be discussed in private.
Real quick, first on behalf of the county and like the board and its speakers tonight for the time they've given, not just tonight, the year, everything we've done, said, acknowledge. The other thing I'd like to show off to the board and anyone else caring to look, this is the Indiana Esports Network State Runner-Up Trophy that I was gonna go ahead and put to the board with. You guys are all maybe most of you were here for our esports demonstration earlier in the year. Thought you guys would like to see fruits of our hard work. Am I good?
Yeah, come on up.
How close were you to the states?
It was a finals match, so we were there for the top two teams. Haven't asked you yet about it, but place to store that, so we can go to play at the school building. Right now, it is proudly displayed on by Genesee. That's where I grabbed it from before. Yeah. Awesome. And just redesign it for the school.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On our consent agenda, we did have a couple of donations that I do want to recognize. Thank you, Melanie, for reminding me. We have a donation from Nathan Stroop. He's in the class of 2015, and he attended our open house at Lima Brighton. We had some extra yearbooks there from the past, and we gave a few to him, and I told him, hey, you don't need to pay for those, it's fine. They were the little elementary extras that we had. So he took those with him, and we got a very beautiful card from him thanking us for that and a donation of $50 to the school. So we wanted to recognize that. We also have a flow-through donation that we do from the American Red Cross for a scholarship for $1,500. So both of those donations were part of the consent agenda.
All right, so we're back to public comments. Any additional comments?
I have one, if I may. Could you go to the CTE slide that showed all the different pathways?
I can't because it's on Shacko's computer. Sorry.
Sadly, it can't be displayed. I'm Matthew Chicola. I'd like this to be seen as parents, not as teacher. But when we were looking at the CTE pathways, I was astounded to see how many were fine arts. 254 pathway students were fine arts. The next highest was 100. And I think that's the staggering thing that shows what Lakeland is known for is our fine arts, whether it's art, music, choir, band. It's one of the things that we, for some reason, have in this community. And that's something I think we need to try to encourage. Like we have Miller's endorsing on the fields and stuff. It would be great to see if they can endorse some of those art programs that we have. We have so many students going for our pathways.
Our sponsors, when we go out to attain sponsorships, they do have the option to sponsor fine arts programs, and Farmers Bank does sponsor our auditorium. as part of that. So that, all the money from that sponsorship is available for our fine arts programs.
Any additional comments, public comments? All right. Board member comments?
10 days. All I have to say is 10 days. You can do it. You finish strong. Appreciate everything for this year. I'd say every year we always start a little rough. I think this year was a little bit better. We always go through those moments, but I think I'm hoping to end on a really, really good positive note. What we're seeing tonight, looking good for next year. Keep that rolling. I know we got a lot of things to work on our end, but just remember we got your back and trying to do what we can to make it happen for next year too. So, thanks again.
All right. Calendar and review. Our next meeting is Wednesday, June 11th, and we're back at the court bar office. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Motion carries. Adjourned.